11/27, 8/31, 2023.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line. If you're calling about White House tour information, press 1. If you're calling about presidential greetings, press 2. For the White House mailing address, press 3. To speak with the next available operator, please remain on the line. You can also leave a message through our website by visiting www.whitehouse.gov/contact. To hear these options again, please press the star key. All comment line volunteer operators are currently assisting other callers. Please continue to hold. All comment line volunteer operators are currently assisting other callers. Please continue to hold.
Good morning, White House comment line. Can I take your comment for the president?
Yes, I have a few questions. I'd like to first off address myself as grieved party. I'd also like to reserve all rights delegated by God and protected by the Constitution and recognized under UCC 1-308, also UCC 1-103.
Okay, sir, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so did you have a
I know,
general
but
comment
you're
for
a
the president?
representative of the government, and I appreciate a little respect, ma'am. That's what your job is, and thank you so much for your services. You are a public servant, so please, if you were appointed...
Yes, sir, I'm a volunteer.
Oh, perfect. Well,
volunteer.
I'm one of the people of the several states, and I would appreciate some respect. I'm just reserving my rights. Whether you understand it or not is not that important. It's whether I understand that I'm addressing this to you, okay, in a diplomatic...
So what is your...
Well, I'm just reserving all rights right away, delegated by God and protected by the Constitution, recognized under UCC 1-308, UCC 1-103.6. And also, and that's basically all I'm doing. So I have a few questions that I'd like to ask the president. I have them listed down. They are very serious and well thought out. And I'd like to ask these questions fairly. And I also am going to ask you, if I do ask these questions and it's not in alignment with the Biden administration, would there be anybody that's going to come and sneak me away or, usurp my rights or maybe even potentially, go against me because I don't exactly agree with some of the things that have been going on. So I'm going to go ahead and just address these things. Google says that $75 billion went to Ukraine and also $135 from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. They said that it was $135 billion. And $54 billion from the New York Times. Can we get a straight answer as to the correct amount and whether you know what the correct amount was that actually went to Ukraine? Secondly, did you get consent from the American people before assuming and donating our children's wealth to sovereign nations without the blueprint as to how this money is going to be used? Was it a gift? And who pays the taxes on that money and its interest, or is there taxes on that money? Also, border security, is our government a for-hire, for-profit corporation conducting clandestine organized crime behind the backs of the American people under the guise as a democracy that over time the Biden administration has proved to be more of a fascist or socialistic, having also Marxist qualities, than that of a Republican form of government, guaranteeing the Article 4 of the Constitution, found prevalent in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which this nation stands. So, do you know the correct amount of money that might have been donated or gifted or whatever it was to Ukraine, Do you know the actual answer, ma'am?
We don't answer questions, sir. We just take the general comments and
Oh,
forward them
okay,
to the
okay.
president.
So next would be, I'm just going to keep going then. Okay.
Okay, I need to move on to the next call.
Well,
So
hold on, ma'am. I actually am recording this call and reserving my rights to do so. So if you do that, you are not.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line. If you're calling about White House tour information, press 1. If you're calling about presidential greetings, press 2. For the White House mailing address, press 3. To speak with the next available operator, please remain on the line. You can also leave a message through our website by visiting www.whitehouse.gov/contact. To hear these options again, please press the star key. All comment line volunteer operators are currently assisting other callers. Please continue to hold.
President.
Yes, I just called and then I was really rudely hung up on, and I don't know why. So please, could I get your name at least for a record purposes? Because I've been planning to call on this date at this specific time. I have some questions for the American people, and I've been really actually contemplating these questions for a while. They're really good questions for the president or the administration thereof, especially with the coming election and stuff. I think it's very important as we have transparency moving forward. What's your name, ma'am, if you don't mind?
We don't give our names out, sir.
Okay. Well, my name's Grieved Party, and I'm...
Yeah, we don't take any names either. So.
Okay. Well, I have
this
some
is
questions.
For anonymous.
Can we...
It's for anonymous general. It's for anonymous general comments.
Okay. I have some questions, and there's not many of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions. Well, I got 9, but we can kind of do the best that we can with them. I'm going to try to... Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. If you can sort of summarize them, okay?
I will. Am I being recorded? Are you writing these down?
No, we don't record anything. It's and we take the information down, not verbatim, but in general.
Okay.
That's why sometimes if you have a lot of data like that, you may be better off sending it in because then they can review it and respond to each one.
I understand, but some of these questions are based off trust, transparency, talking to a live person rather than, where we're going which is a very non-personalized relationship between government and the people. And, they're starting to really just, as we move forward,
Yes, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead first right off. Unknown anonymous listener and commentor. Please don't take any of this personal. It's not directed at you. I'm going to reserve all rights delegated by God and protected by the Constitution, recognized under UCC 1-308, as well as UCC 1-103.6, and which reverts me back to the common law. And please, if any of these comments or questions become too, controversial, please let this call be known to, that if anything happens to me, I'm going to take it because that this phone call took place. So I'm going to go ahead and ask my questions now. Google says that it was $75 billion to Ukraine, and the Center for Strategic and International Studies says it was $135 billion to Ukraine, $54 billion from the New York Times, and I'm starting to wonder what's the straight answer to the correct amount. The second question is, did you get consent from the actual American populace before assuming donating our children's wealth to sovereign nations without a blueprint as to how this money is going to be used? Third question is, was it a gift? And if not, is there taxes involved, and who pays that money with the interest? Now we're going into border security. Is our government a for-hire, for-profit corporation conducting clandestine, organized crime behind the backs of the American people under the guise as a democracy that over time, the Biden administration has proved to be more of a fascist and socialistic, also having Marxist qualities, than of a Republican form of government guaranteed in Article 4 of the Constitution and found very prevalent in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands. The fifth question is, how does the United States, Inc. de facto government represent the people anymore? Most of the general population are in their 30s or late 30s going into their 40s, and a lot of Congress and people representing us are in their 80s, 70s, and 60s. How are they in touch, really, with reality, with the American people, and really what we want, versus what seems to be, might potentially be certain agendas outside the American people's interests? We have a police state censoring the truth, claiming it's malinformation. Since 9/11, every executive order passed under the ruse of protection and safety and security is actually trying to get us to give up our liberties and rights. So how does the Biden administration, or even the divided parties of the Republican or the Democratic parties of District of Columbia, represent the American people? We have divided parties dividing American minds. The sixth one is, because of the COVID experiment, whether it was a conspiracy or not, for global domination was not effective. 2 weeks became 3 years. And once Epstein Island and the pedo politician party list became exposed, and the trucker protest in Canada targeted and dismantled, and the American people began to question COVID and the pandemic, we began to be distracted with a war, and then food shortages and train derailments, and this is starting to look like psychological terrorism and potentially strategic points being set up for the downfall of the American people. It's being against us. And the American people are becoming paranoid of whether they should trust anybody anymore, let alone CNN, Operation Mockingbird, the media. We're starting to really believe that somebody else is running our country. There was a promise made to the Americans that we would rise in the next 4 years after the Trump administration. Well, there is talk of gun control reform, which proves Trump was actually right when he said you wanted America's guns. And maybe stop creating bills and acts and statutes and ordinances, etc., that erode constitutional liberties. Start defending and demilitarizing the police, which violates the Third Amendment, and disarm the UN. With all being said, does gun control have hidden connotations? Tax policies, who benefits off the taxes? Or does it pay the interest for the people, or the money borrowed from the Federal Reserve? So how is the national debt implicated on the American people when the government itself is the one that's borrowing the money? And so these are the questions that I have. And recently, Flint, Michigan just came back on another article that nothing's being done about Flint, Michigan, its water supply, and the corrosion of its actual community. And these fires seem very planned as towards the contracts of the super cities to come in Hawaii as well as Canada. And there's a lot of information coming out that's exposing plans of where everything's going, that if what I'm saying is untrue, but there's domino effects and catalytic effects taking place to find these things to be valid, then what does this really say in the end game? Okay, and what does this say about the Biden administration or any administration moving forward? And I'm done now. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thanks for calling. I'll pass your comments along. Have a good day.
God bless you. Bye.
You too.